You're listening to Forged from Fat. For everyone who's been afraid to step up, this is for you, the All Things Life podcast. Your hosts, John and Kieran, are two regular guys with one common goal, to lift you up. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to another episode of Forged from Fat. I am Kieran, and as always, I am with John. John, what's up, man? How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing out there in Virginia?
We are doing good. We're just into phase one, which kind of just feels like everything's open. No one really knows what phase one is, and everyone's like a free for all. But you know, we're still busy. Weather's getting better, so I can't complain. What about you guys?
Yeah, man, I don't know what phase we're in. Everything's all jacked up in Minneapolis. Starting today, we have to wear a mask in any public places, so stuff's weird. Anyway, I am super pumped about today's episode. I've been looking forward to this one. We have our friend Hadi Doumit. Am I saying that right? All right, Hadi Doumit from Sacramento, California. I've been following this guy for quite some time. I know you have too, Kieran.
Oh, yeah.
Every day I look forward to his posts and his captions because Diane and Hadi, man, you guys make my day. Basically, today we're going to learn about Hadi and his story and what got him to where he's at. How's it going, Hadi?
Good. Thanks for having me, you guys. I'm so excited to meet both of you finally.
Yeah, man, it's always been interactions back and forth on Instagram and social media. Right. It's nice to actually sit down and talk to the guy, you know?
Yeah, exactly. All we do is tag each other back and forth. I mean, we all eat the same stuff, but it's cool to actually have a 5-minute combo now.
I don't know, man. Your food looks like super steroid food compared to what I'm eating. I don't know what you're doing over there. It looks great though.
There have been some epic meals popping up for sure.
That's because Diane helps a lot in the kitchen. I kind of just sit back and critique, but I eat it anyway. So.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what, Hadi, when Kieran and I started this podcast, we came up with a list of people that we wanted to talk to and, you know, kind of learn more about them and what motivates them. And you were on top of that list. So again.
Oh, thank you guys.
We are super pumped to have you on.
On both. Yeah, you were on both of our lists for sure.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you guys.
So I was listening, let me real quick, John, sorry. Yep. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was listening to Gormy, the podcast you did with Gormy last night. And I love his first question, and it's kind of brass, but it's like, why are you even here? Like, you know, when he asks, hey, why should you be on this? And I kind of like that to start off like that. You know, what is your story? Like, obviously we know part of your story, and that's why we felt important to bring you on. But, you know, let everyone know, what's your story, man?
You know, I was just like everybody else, man. I thought, you know, just being big my whole life, that was it for me. You know, that was who I'm supposed to be. You know, I felt unhealthy, obviously, but I just thought, you know, I was comfortable. That was me. And I've always tried to diet. I yo-yo dieted, you know. I'd hear, okay, this is the new diet. I'd give it a shot. You know, I'd lose a couple of water weight pounds and then go back to binge eating again, you know. I was always a closet eater. That was like my biggest thing. You know, you looked at me, and the highest I've ever weighed was at 405. I mean, I could have been a little heavier, but at that point, when you step on the scale and you're reaching 400 pounds, you're like, why weigh myself anymore, you know?
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'11".
Okay.
Yeah. So I was, you know, pretty wide guy, not tall guy.
Right.
So, but yeah, so I thought that was it for me, man. I was going to be big my whole life, and that was it. One thing was I was a closet eater. So when you looked at me, you knew I ate, but I would normally like eat late at night, man. When everybody's passed out, I would just rummage through the pantry and, you know, whatever I could find. It didn't even have to be something in the fridge. It's just something, you know, like it's like I needed it. I really didn't. It got to a point, you know, where I would have cold sweats at night. You know, I'd wake up 4 or 5 times a night and I'd have to use the restroom to urinate. I just didn't know what was wrong with me. My sheets would be completely drenched. You know, my ex-wife at the time, she was like, hey, you know, something obviously is wrong with you. I never even went to a doctor, nothing like that. So I didn't even have a doctor to go to or to call. I happened to come home one day, and she's like, hey, I went ahead and made you an appointment. I filled out your new doctor's paperwork, and your appointment's Monday. At that point, you're like, okay, something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
I got to go. I mean, I can't come home on Monday.
Someone else sees it too.
Yeah.
Enough to pick up the phone for you. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. And she already went into that office, filled out the new patient paperwork. There was no way I was going to come back to her on Monday and tell her, hey, I kind of skipped it. It's not like I had anything else to do.
Yeah.
So I went in there, and, initially they give you kind of a list like, hey, this might be this, that, right? And they send you in to do your blood work, and then you come back, right? So coming back to my actual first doctor's appointment was a huge wake-up call for me. I knew I was unhealthy, but I just didn't know how unhealthy I was. I had high blood pressure, obviously, man. My cholesterol was everywhere. I was borderline diabetic. Now, I knew diabetes. I just didn't know then the whole thing, what diabetes meant and the blood sugar levels. I got my blood sugar level checked, and I was at over 500. At that point, the doctor was shocked that I wasn't in a diabetic coma. To me, that, he was telling me the results, and I'm like, okay,
that number didn't mean anything to you.
Right. It just was not registering to me until, he started describing it and saying, you could be in a diabetic coma. You might not wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he's telling me, man, I just blanked out. Like, he's telling me I'm dying. All I thought about was my daughter. I'm not going to see her going to the first grade, man. That was honestly all I thought about. So initially, with everything failing, this doctor did what he knew was to prescribe me everything that was going to try to get me back on track, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all these follow-up appointments started coming in. Man, I walked out of that doctor's office. I sat in my car. I kid you not, man. I was probably in my car for a little over an hour just thinking, like, how am I going to go home and tell my daughter and my wife at the time, hey, I'm going to die. That's all I thought of. Not, hey, I'm going to make an improvement. I'm going to take these supplements or whatever, or these prescriptions. I'm just going to die. I knew there was a supplement shop nearby. I walked in there, and of course the guy's jacked, man. He's ripped. Like, this guy's been sculpted. You know what I mean? Like, if anything was perfect on somebody, it was on this guy. So I walked in, and I said, look, dude, I'm not looking for a magic pill, and I can't eat salads for the rest of my life. Because you instantly think salads are the healthiest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I just want to know what you're eating so I can, start getting back on track. So he started describing to me how he weighs his food and what portions he eats. And, he did my height, my weight, and all that. And at that point, I'm like, man, this guy's like a scientist or something. I don't even know what he's doing, but he figured something out for me, and he wrote it down. Basically, it was a bodybuilding diet. I would have to weigh all my food. I'd eat about 5 to 6 times a day, incorporate some protein shakes here and there. But everything had to weigh a certain amount. I'm no bodybuilder, man. This was so new to me. I even did it wrong. I bought everything he told me, even the scale. I started weighing it out, but I just felt like nothing was correct about that. You know what I mean? Like, well, at least for me.
Right.
I was starting to get some results. Just like anything you stick to, you're going to get, and you're consistent, you're going to get some results, right?
Sure.
But it got to a point, man, I'm very OCD. I've always been OCD my whole life. Everything has to be correct or else it's going to throw me off. So somebody telling me, man, you got to weigh this. It has to be a certain amount to keep you on track. Trying to go out to eat with my family, my OCD jumped in like, man, does this really weigh that much? Did this get cooked in something I'm not supposed to put into my diet? So it just didn't work out for me as well. I'm still lost at this point, man. I'm sitting on my couch. I come across a documentary on Netflix, Bigger, Stronger, Faster. That one was done by Chris Bell.
That's a good one, yeah.
Dude, that's what tied in my whole journey and got me on track. I watched the beginning of it, and, I see Hulkamania on there. I was a huge wrestling fan, man. So that's really what tied me on into that. And he's interviewing his brother, and, in the intro of the movie, he says, my brother Smelly, had a learning disability throughout his whole life. and he didn't feel very special being put in the special classes. Well, I also had a learning disability as well, so I was in some of those classes where I used to get pulled out and get extra help. Of course, you don't feel that much special either, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then he turns the camera and you see Mark Bell and you're like, holy crap, dude, this guy is jacked. And he was in the special classes. I want to be like that guy, you know? So I started researching these guys, man. And I found them on Instagram and YouTube. And I'm just kind of, you know, looking at what they're eating. And they were in the keto phase at that time, you know, the war on carbs and stuff like that. And then I started seeing more and more, hey, these guys are just throwing away the bread. Just basically eat the meat. So when you tell your family, like, look, I know you guys thought I was dying. You know, at this point, I haven't told you guys, I never turned in those prescriptions the doctor gave me either. And now I'm telling them, hey, I'm just going to eat red meat. And of course, you know, you grow up learning that's the worst thing you can eat. Everybody's like, okay, you're just trying to kill yourself at this point.
Right.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm not going to take the prescriptions and I'm going to eat red meat. Screw it. So after a month, man, the weight started flying off me. You know, I'm going back to the doctor still every couple of weeks. He's just doing exams, prescribing me more stuff, but he's telling me like, okay, you look like you're getting back on track. You know, everything's starting to come out better for you. You know, a year later, we do the final checkup. I do my blood test for him, and he thinks something's wrong with my blood test because everything is coming out normal now, comparing it from when I initially started. So he has me do it again. I come back 2 weeks later, and he's like, man, I'm blown away. Everything is back to normal for you. It's like the healthiest you've ever been.
Right.
So I gave him the envelope of prescriptions, everything that he's ever prescribed me. And I said, look, I didn't take one single prescription. All I did was change my diet. Not once did you ask me what I was putting in my body. You know, initially when I came in, you automatically thought I was dying. Now, don't get me wrong. That worked for me. So I don't want to tell anybody not to take medication.
Right, yeah.
That was the gamble I took.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But if I did take those medications, I'm sure they would have helped me as well, right?
Right.
But I just didn't want to be dependent on something my whole life where I had to take prescriptions my whole life. So I was already in the hole. I wanted to see if I could dig myself out of that hole. But if it didn't work for me, obviously I would have been on those prescriptions just like anybody else. But that worked alone for me. So that's why I didn't do that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I bet he was blown away that you didn't take his advice.
Right.
You know, and like you were saying, you know, we grow up we're supposed to listen to what the doctors say. They're supposed to be the smartest and they're supposed to know, but you know, they know what the books say, you know, but each person is different. And obviously,
absolutely,
you know, you figured it out. I wanted to kind of go back to the beginning again, when you were saying, when you were big, you just figured that that's who you were supposed to be.
Yes.
Now, why is that? Was your family members, were they big as well growing up, or did they never, did you guys never talk about overeating or, hey man, you look like you're gaining weight?
My parents always worked. So basically I never really ate dinner with my parents or anything like that. My dad was always, you know, working. He was always out, you know, making ends meet for us. My mom was doing her own thing as well, trying to, you know, survive. So I never really actually sat down and had, you know, dinners like most families do together. So for me, it almost was like, you know, I was already in those classes where I didn't feel as special. I was quiet most of the time, and all I knew was, you know, okay, this is all I cope with right here. You know, this was delicious to me. This is all I knew. As long as nobody's watching me, I feel comfortable now. You know what I mean? So it was one of those coping things for me, more than anybody actually sitting down to telling me, hey, you're probably going to die early if you eat this stuff, which I probably knew about that. You know, it's just, that's what I was comfortable with.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
So, well, you know what's funny, and when I started keto and my stuff, nobody says a word to you when you're eating the hamburgers, the cheeseburgers, the double whoppers, the French fries. They don't say a damn word. Right. But then you tell them, hey, guess what? I'm going to eat just meat. They're like, you're going to fucking die.
Yeah.
I mean,
everybody's an expert at that point, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I love my parents to death, and they were just coming at me when I told them I was going carnivore. I said, you know what? I'm reading a couple books right now. Dr. Sean Baker, I'm going to send you this book when I'm done. Dr. Paul Saladino, I'm going to send you this book when I'm done. Until you guys do your research, stop talking to me.
Right.
Because, you know, and
those are great books, man. Yeah.
My dad was the king of hitting McDonald's on his way home from work every day. You know, it's like nobody says a word until you get healthy. So let me ask you a quick question. Your tipping point was when your ex-wife made that doctor appointment for you. What was your weight at that time when you went in?
I was a little over 405.
A little 405?
Yeah, it was like, I want to say it was like in the 410 ranges. But, you know, for me, since I'm OCD, man, I never count it if it's in the middle of the day. I always have to weigh in the morning. But I know the most accurate weight that I've ever been on the scale was 405 in the morning at my heaviest. But then again, I stopped getting on the scale because I was like, okay, I'm at 400. What am I trying to prove at this point? there's nothing coming out good out of this. So.
I already know I'm big. I don't need to get on the scale again.
Like I'm not trying to make a record here, bro. I already know.
But now let's fast forward to that last doctor appointment when you told your doctor, hey, dude, I haven't touched these meds. This is where I'm at. What was your weight at that doctor appointment? Do you remember?
At that doctor's appointment, I was 219, 218.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow. And then
that's 1 year.
That's 1 year. You know, that's when he started picking into my diet. Like, what are you eating? And I told him I'm eating red meat, you know, and he asked me, you know, exactly how much of it are you eating? So I told him, you know, I'd eat about, 6 to 8 ounces a night for dinner. And that would be my whole dinner, just that, you know. And he asked me what I'd eat for breakfast. I told him I'd eat a couple of eggs with some, steak mixed in there if I had some leftovers. And for lunch, same thing, maybe a couple sausages with, some egg or a little omelet. And he started talking about cholesterol and stuff like that, man. And then he started looking at my tests and he's like, well, nothing is really wrong with you. So it's hard for me to tell you to stay away from these things that I know I would never tell somebody to eat, but he just couldn't argue with me about anything I was doing because everything that he wanted me on, I did it the other way, and I got healthier by just eating the correct stuff that worked for me.
He wanted to throw out those things that all doctors talk about. You got to worry about your cholesterol.
Yeah.
But then he looks at your chart and he's like, well, your cholesterol is not bad. So
right.
I'm still going to tell you to worry about your cholesterol because that's what I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
And you did that. So almost 200 pounds in a year. You did that with no exercise, right?
No exercise, man. I was so new to all this. I was worried about dying, man. Sometimes we all drag our feet until we get that wake up call. And then all of a sudden we hit the ground running. Yeah. Because man, like that next meal of mine was the closest what I thought was healthy. But yeah, that whole year, man, I just wanted to make sure I was healthy again. I didn't know nothing about working out. Even if I would have gone to the gym, I would have probably sat on one of those curl machines and just, stared at everybody else while I got in like a set and called it a day, or maybe walked on a treadmill. But yeah, that whole year I didn't touch the weights once. As soon as I knew I got healthy, I enrolled myself in one of these gyms out here. We have a 24-hour fitness that's the closest to me. I enrolled myself, and then I started looking at what Mark and Chris do. And I'm like, man, these guys are powerlifters, though. It's not like I'm going to go in here and powerlift at one of these gyms where everybody's coming in to get a workout.
Right. Well, then also, it's fascinating because, in this pandemic era that we're in and the quarantine and all the gyms are closed, people are freaking out because now they're off their fitness goals and they can't get in shape. But you're living proof, a year of just healthier eating, you can lose the weight. So the people, John and I have talked about this on numerous episodes. If you don't come out of this quarantine a better person, whether it be healthier, making a little bit more money, then, shame on you. And you're a great example of diet over exercise. You can't outwork a bad diet, right?
Right, man. That was like my main thing is, I follow a lot of guys on Instagram, just like you guys do. And, you know, we're all in the same community, man. It's just, you know, and you start seeing, you know, a lot of the stuff is mental stuff, man, you know, where I've battled it myself. And I felt like, man, I just needed to push through that and show everybody, man, like I went from powerlifting, and I shouldn't make that my excuse to take any steps back. You know what I mean? Just because
you were living a powerlifter's life your whole life. You know, 405 pounds every time you went up the stairs, you were powerlifting.
Exactly. I was living the diet, man, but just not any of the weights. So.
Right.
So what's your current weight right now, Hadi?
Right now, I weighed in on Monday, and I was 216.
216. And then Monday morning, I'm guessing?
Yeah, Monday morning. Man, first thing I got up, and Diane was saying good morning to me, and I was like, all right, let's say it real quick. I got to get on the scale.
Now, is that an everyday thing for you, or is that just on Mondays?
Yeah, usually I hate getting on the scale, but you know, I'm working with Diane a little bit closely, where I'm just dissecting her diet a little bit, and you know, just showing her the kind of things I incorporated. I mean, that's one thing is, you know, with Diane, she had a transformation herself. So with us together with two big transformations, we just pick apart our diets a little bit, man. But we're weighing in each week right now, just so to see where we're at with some of the new stuff we're incorporating in our diet. And so far, man, we've nailed every weigh-in. I'm gonna knock on wood. That way, I don't jinx myself.
Well, the scale can work, you know, a good way or a bad way. And like you were saying, like when you were saying when you're heavy, and I know when I was heavy too, I used to rely on the scale to determine if I was going to have a good day or not. I'd get on it at night, and it would determine if I was going to eat dinner or not. Like that's how married to the scale I was. And then when I stopped letting that control how I thought, you know, and I started really sticking to what my macros were and weighing out my food, I was seeing myself eat more calories than I was used to and still dropping the weight. So the scale would just confirm that I was making the right decisions. It can be the devil on your shoulder, or it can be the angel on your shoulder. It all depends on how you look at it.
Absolutely, man. From having the transformation, even like when you get on the scale, man, and it said you gained 1 pound, which you probably didn't. It might have been just like water weight. There's no way you just gained that 1 pound out of nowhere if you're eating correctly, right? Sure. But from a mindset, from weighing so heavy, you're like, okay, man, I just took like 8 steps back. I gained an extra pound that I out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. That's why I try not to get on the scale as much. But for me right now, you know, we're Diane and I have been working a little bit extra on what we're eating. I just want to know how it's affecting me, even with, you know, not working out as much, you know, obviously not as intense. And so far, man, the scale has been great in our favor so far. I'm knocking on wood again, man.
What new things are you trying with your diet?
So I'm incorporating a little bit more eggs, and my portions are just a little bit more bigger right now. And I just want to see how my body's reacting to it, because when I go back into the gym, I am signing up for another powerlift meet, and I'm hoping to you know, this time my weight has to be on point to what I want it to be. You know, my first one that I got into, they told me not so much to worry about my weight, just go out there, have fun, whatever I weigh at.
Like the weight that you weigh, or the weight you lift?
The weight I weigh.
Okay.
I weighed in at around 223 at my last one. I just want to make sure I can maintain like about a 230. You know what I mean? Without having to worry about it.
Are there weight classes? Is that why?
There is.
Okay.
There is. Yeah. For me, you know, when I started this powerlifting, I was weighing at 190. And, you know, I thought it was one of those fun things, which it is a fun thing, but man, when you actually go to lift the weight and you're 190 and you're not that strong, you're like, okay, I got to eat and make sure the correct weight gets on me, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. You got to have a talk with yourself and say, look, I'm going to gain the weight. I'm going to step on the scale. Yes, it's going to go up, but it's not going to mess me up where I'm taking the back step. I'm putting the correct weight on.
It's for purpose, yeah.
Yeah, and that was a big mind battle for me. So that's why right now I'm kind of playing with the portions just to see where it is. And so far, man, I've been blessed to get it correct to where, you know, when I do go back, I'll feel, you know, pretty good. Probably not at the strongest where I was, but I'll work back into that with no problem.
That's awesome. Hey, so at the beginning we talked a little bit about you and Diane. You guys have the best dynamic on Instagram that I've ever seen. Like when you post your stories and your captions, I literally laugh out loud. Like I'm laughing like this is freaking hilarious. So, she's your girlfriend, correct?
Yes, she's my girlfriend.
Okay, how many kids do you guys have?
I got 2 and she has 4. So we have a little school bus, man.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got 6 between both of us.
So the little power lifter dude I've been seeing.
Yeah, Mateo, that's my boy.
That's your boy?
Yeah. Well, no, he's from my ex-wife.
Okay.
But yeah, Diane and I don't actually have kids together. But man, we have so many kids here.
You're like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, bro, we're good for right now.
The Brady Bunch. Yeah, that's plenty.
Like if one more comes in, then he might take over the house. I don't need another cabinet, bro.
The cabinets. I want to see you guys make that TikTok I sent you.
Oh, dude. She would nail that. She'd probably even wake me up, like where she thinks of a perfect way to do it. Like right when I close my eyes, she'll probably want to open all the cabinets.
That would be great. So you mentioned you guys are on kind of this journey together. You know, you both had this transformation. Did you start strict carnivore, or did you start keto and work your way into carnivore?
I started more keto at first. It just made more sense to me, you know, because at first when you're so big, man, and somebody's telling you got to go on a diet, you're like, oh man, I'm never going to be able to eat this or that. You know what I mean? Automatically someone's taking something from you. So I figured with keto, I still was able to incorporate stuff that I loved, you know, just in a healthier way. Because a lot of times when you introduce carnivore to someone, it's one ingredient. You're telling them, dude, you're not eating nothing else but one thing, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, that's how I was able to sustain this diet so well, man, because I still got to enjoy the stuff. Man, I was eating butter. Like, what fat guy doesn't like eating butter, bro? You know?
Yeah, or peanut butter.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I love peanut butter. That's like my go-to.
Oh, that's my kryptonite.
That's why a lot of people fail at anything that they're trying new, is because the elimination of so many other things that they can't stick to. And like you said, man, with keto, you are eliminating some things, but there's so many delicious foods that you can still eat, and substitutes that are almost just as good. Like when Quest Pizza came out, I was super thrilled about it, and I had one at home, and I went to the firehouse the next day, and I told the guys, like, this pizza is great. It's you know, so they went out and bought it, and they're like, hey man, it's really not that great. I said, well, it is if you think about what you're eating. Like, is it a DiGiorno's? Probably not, but for keto, that's a great pizza, you know?
Yeah, it's a win for us, man.
Sure.
Like, yeah, it's a win for us. That's the thing, man. If you're not like strictly dieting, you'll never understand when you have like a little taste of something else that's healthy. You're like, wow, okay, they nailed it with that. And even if you stick it next to a regular pizza, you're like, okay, they didn't nail it, but for me, they nailed it. So
definitely.
Yeah.
I still haven't tried one yet.
You have? Oh man, yeah, you need to. They're good. They're not a DiGiorno's though, but it's good. It's a good keto pizza. So all right, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know y'all had 6 kids together.
Yeah.
No, I had no idea.
So, and you work full time usually, right?
Yes.
Are you working right now?
Right now, I'm not. I normally work in a warehouse, almost like a Home Depot. I work in the shipping and receiving department. I manage the shipping and where I unload trucks, I count in inventory, and I key it out before I go home for the day. That's mostly what I do. Is I unload trucks throughout the whole day, count them in, and then make sure everything's inputted in the system correctly for inventory.
So full-time job,
Yes.
Full-time dad, obviously, with the
Yes.
6 kids and a full-time partner, boyfriend. How are you finding time to even get to the gym?
So the best part about this, man, is, when I first started losing weight, right? And I wanted to make sure I incorporate the gym into my day. I'm already waking up around 3:30 for work, right? I had a 24-hour gym membership. I was going through a time in my life, man, where I learned my dad was diagnosed with cancer. So I had insomnia, right? And I didn't want to make excuses. Okay, now I'm going to backtrack. So the best part about this, man, I started going to the gym at like 1 a.m.
Wow.
I would go to the gym at 1 a.m. Whatever I thought was a workout, I would do it, man. And I'd take a shower there and then go to work because it was down the street from there. And that's how I was getting my workouts in, But it's not like, you go in at 1 a.m, man, and it's like when you go during the day, right, where you can watch some people. At 1 a.m, there's like maybe 2 people sitting on the bike, man. Yeah. So it's not like I was going to get much out of watching them.
That's when the real grind happens, when no one's watching, when you're just there for yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. So you weren't following any sort of program. You were just kind of learning as you go.
Learning as I go. That's what I was saying in the beginning is like, I started looking into what Chris and Mark were doing. And I'm like, man, these guys are powerlifters. How am I going to powerlift at a 24-hour fitness, right? I mean, you look at the videos and you got them squatting like 400 pounds. And I mean, if I was squatting, dude, yeah. And that's like what they warm up with, bro. It's crazy to see it up close live, And if I tried to even squat 200 at this 24-hour fitness at 1 a.m. when I got 2 elder people on their bike, I would have just died. So
you're screwed.
Yeah, at that point I would have just said, you know what, screw this diet too, man. Let's go back to being fat.
That's what my wife and I always talk about. Like, it just would be so much easier just to be fat again.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about Chris and Mark. So you obviously were looking to them for guidance.
Yes.
And were they receptive? Like, or, what did they say when you reached out to them?
Man, I gotta be honest. These are like the 2 coolest down to earth guys I've ever met in my life. Like for me being a stranger to them, they accepted me with open arms. Like basically gave me in, and said, hey, come train with us. So crazy thing about it is, man, I learned my dad was with cancer and having all these treatments done, right? Mm-hmm. And, after you get chemo and radiation, man, you can only have so many treatments where your body just basically says, okay, you got no more energy.
Right.
Over, yeah.
And I've been a big fan of Chris and Mark's, and I know Chris is a filmmaker, man, and he just had released at the time a documentary called The Leaf of Faith. It's a Kratom product that he sells at the gym, and they use it for pre-workout and like pain and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You get to a point, man, where you're like, dude, I've done everything for my father. What else can I give this guy to just make him wake up a little bit and just have that extra energy? At the time of my life, man, my ex-wife and I at the time said, you know what, the place we're living at, screw it. I'm going to move in with my dad and mom, have the kids around my dad. I mean, who knows when he's going to pass. Mm-hmm. So now I'm seeing my dad every day, man. I wake up and, go to sleep and he's right there, and I'm watching him die. And I just want to give him something, man, just to spend 5 minutes with his grandchildren, with a little energy. So I was just sitting on the couch and I emailed Chris Bell, and I just had some questions about Mind Bullet. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, this guy has so many people that follow him. He's famous. He's not going to respond back to me. I kid you not, man. He emailed me back in 5 minutes. Wow. And I ran to the room and I showed my ex-wife. I was like, Chris Bell just emailed me. I was in shock. So long story short, man, he goes, I told him what was going on, and he said, come down to the gym. The gym is only 20 minutes away from me, Mark Bell's gym, Super Training. He said, meet me down here at this time, and I'm going to give you some samples. I mean, man, I thought the world of that, right? Yeah. I was like, man, this guy doesn't know me. I'm a big fan of his. He just wants to give me stuff. So I go down there. I was going down there to get stuff for my dad. And then I became selfish, man. And I had to show my before and after. And I said, Chris, you changed my life, bro. You know, I had this transformation because of you and Mark following you guys.
Yeah.
So he was blown away at that point, what I just told him and showed him. So, you know, going back and forth with Chris, you know, we stayed in contact. He'd invite me down to the gym to work out. And that's how I started training at Super Training. Mm-hmm. You know, in October, my dad passed away, man.
Oh, man,
and,
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And, you know, I just started basically going to that gym with Chris. And, you know, I was so new to that gym. But when the word my dad passed away, Chris Bell reached out to me through a phone call instantly, man. Not a text message, nothing like that. And This guy just barely even knew me, right? And that meant the world to me, man. Some of the closest people in my life didn't even reach out to me, not even through a text, you know. I know it's a hard thing that's, you know, when somebody's father passes, but that meant the world to me. You know, this guy that I was a stranger to reached out to me like that. But at that time, man, I was going through a divorce as well. And I was just barely meeting Diane, you know, but Diane didn't really know what was going on in my life, that my father just passed. Mm-hmm. She happened to be in the little community, man, the carnivore keto community, man, that thing's a blessing to me, you know. Right. If I knew, to lose that much weight and I'd meet a hot girl and end up to be a powerlifter, I would have done that a long time ago, you know. So I would have done that a long time ago. But yeah, so I never told Diane what was wrong with, you know, she thought everything was normal, man. I had seen her in the community. I saw this girl had a transformation. But I've always been fat and shy my whole life, man. So I wanted to reach out to her, and I didn't know how. Right. And I kept writing her a message, and I would delete it. That's how much of a wuss I was. And then I finally just wrote her, hey, you had an amazing transformation. Congrats, right? Yeah. So this girl writes me back. And I'm like, dude, this hot girl just wrote me back, man. Right? So that's how me and Diane started talking. But to be honest with you, man, she still didn't know what was going on. But I knew she was interested in me because out of nowhere one night, man, she messages me and says, hey, have you ever tried tallow? And I'm like, what kind of excuse is that, right? So that's how me and Diane started talking.
That's like the generic weather conversation for carnivore folk, right? Talking about tallow.
Yeah, exactly. Like at that point, she messaged me. I read my message. I was like, okay, either she likes me or I'm just stupid, man. I can't read girls. So.
What does this mean? That is awesome.
Yeah.
So you had your own transformation, right? And she had hers as well.
Yeah. She lost 60 pounds doing keto.
That's awesome.
60?
I know, 60 pounds doing keto. Yeah.
Huge.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. And then you guys started dating, and now you're fine tuning everything.
Exactly, like seeing what works for both of us. You know,
she's not a vegetarian.
She's not a vegetarian. She cooks with a lot of veggies. Yeah. So that's where she got the name.
Something's wrong with her. Yeah. That's awesome. So what's next? Like, what's next for
honestly,
you?
I cannot wait until this lift goes back up, man, to where our lives goes back to kind of being normal. I want to sign up for another power lift meet. You know, for me, I lost all this weight. I finally got into meeting Mark and Chris. You know, I trained with them. You know, a long time ago, just messing around with Chris, man, he told me, he goes, man, we should just see how strong you are. Let's do where you lift with the trap bar. You know, deadlifts and all that was new to me, man. I didn't even know how to lay on the bench to bench press. I didn't know how to squat. When I went into super training, man, if they pull up the footage, how I used to attempt to squat, it's like the funniest thing in the world, man. I didn't even have a bar on my back. I just couldn't sit. And they kept telling me, sit like you're sitting on a toilet. And it was the most awkward thing for me. Like I could run home and sit on the toilet, but in front of people.
And now you're thinking about it, you know?
Yeah. So, you know, with the trap bar, obviously the lift is a little bit easier, right? I went in and we were going to do this thing called, you know, road to 405. Well, the first day Chris and I were messing around at the gym, I ended up pulling 405 on the trap bar. My form wasn't there. You know, obviously everything was shaky. And then he goes, dude, if you ever want to do a powerlift meet, maybe we can sign you up in the summer, right? And I thought to myself, yeah, that'd be cool, man, to have my kids watch. But then it was that, right? So Thanksgiving was coming around, and I was going to be alone. My dad just had passed, man, a month before that, and my ex-wife was with the kids at her family's house, and Diane actually lived 6 hours away from me. So we had a long distance relationship. I'm glad she didn't catfish me, bro. I'm glad I FaceTimed her.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But if
She's
I would have
real.
known if I would have known those cabinets were open in the background, I don't know, bro. So,
a deal breaker right there.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we had a long distance relationship, and I was invited by the GM Smokey to come work out at the gym if I wanted to that morning. So I did. I went in. I was like, cool, man. At least I get my mind off this stuff. Mm-hmm. And while we were stretching, he said to me, hey, have you ever thought about competing? And I said, well, Chris asked me about it, but I never really thought I'd compete. I was like, I don't know anything about it. And he said, well, it doesn't matter. You're going to compete. And I'm thinking to myself, what? I am? Right? And I thought he was kidding, man. Next week comes around. He wasn't kidding. He signed me up for my first powerlift meet.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I drove home that day. I was talking to Diane. I always used to call her on my way home. And I'm like, I guess I'm doing this powerlift meet,
Yeah.
Dude, coolest experience I've ever done in my life. You learn so much about yourself. You got to fail a lot to understand, how to do some of this stuff.
Yeah.
You can't come in there and say, I'm going to lift this that day. It's just, hey, it's probably just not going to happen. You know what I mean? Everything's about form and man, I had to just check myself and say, okay, I got to listen. It's just not going to happen on some days. Yeah. This is all new to me. But one of the coolest things was, man, they assigned me Austin, one of the guys that's always trained there for longer than I have to kind of do my numbers at the meet. And I told him, dude, I don't even want to know what's on the bar. I just want to go out there. If it goes up, it goes up. If it doesn't, right. Oh well, I'll destroy it on the next one, right? And I had missed 400 pounds of deadlifting the week prior to that lift, man. So the most I did was 385, right? And since that COVID thing hit, no spectators were allowed.
Oh, right.
So Diane had just flew in, man. I was so excited she was going to see my first powerlift meet. And she missed my squatting and my benching aspect of it. But luckily towards the end, she was able to get to watch me deadlift. And that night, man, my very last lift, I didn't know 400 was on the bar, and I ended up, destroying that 400 pounds. And Chris actually made a little video clip of, I didn't even know he was filming me, man. I was so zoned, and I had my girlfriend there. I'm like, man, she comes in for these last 3 lifts, I better destroy something in front of her. And it was a great night.
Dude,
and who knows? Good.
Oh, I was saying, I've watched your lifting and your competitions or whatever, and the determination and the look on your face is so fucking powerful. It's
Thank you, brother.
It motivates me to go lift more or do something. It's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I love watching it.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. It seems like you've really got a good relationship with those guys over there at the gym, and it's good to surround yourself with those kind of people, like the kind of people that are going to say, oh, you were just talking about doing a competition? Well, guess what? You are doing one, because I already signed you up. You want people in your corner that are going to push you to be better and not let you be the same guy every day. So, man,
exactly.
Kudos to you. Kudos to them too, man.
Thank you, man.
For, accepting this stranger in. But yeah, man, obviously they felt the vibe on you just like you felt with them, And so Diane lives there now, yeah?
She lives there now, man.
Oh, man.
I could always say this quarantine sucks, right? But it actually fast forwarded everything for us to where, she is living here now with me. And dude, it's awesome. I've never had anybody cook so many meals for me. And it's always been me, like, coming home from training, and I'm like, man, now I got to cook after this, right? But, yeah, it's been amazing, man. But I have to complain all the time because she throws in veggies, of course. Bro. I'm carnivore, and she kills me with all these vegan meals. So
ketovore. You're ketovore now.
Exactly.
What do you call it, Kieran? Kindivore?
Kindivore, yeah. That's what it is, kindivore. Because I got to get my veggies in poppers.
Yeah, dude, those poppers are must.
Yes.
They're a must.
Dude, you know what? The bacon wrap pickle spears?
I'm doing those tonight.
So am I.
I'm doing those tonight.
Are you? Oh, man, I can't wait to see how those turn out. Yeah,
I just got to pick some stuff up. So, Hadi, what are some things you're listening to or reading, or what's been keeping you going throughout this quarantine? I know you said we can look at all the negatives of the quarantine, but we got all sorts of positives. We started a podcast. We're doing the ultra marathon, all that good stuff. What's something you've been doing besides your lifting and all that, and keeping you going?
We have such a great community, man, that we're all, kind of in the same boat, like, hey, what's this guy doing? What am I not doing? Maybe I can incorporate today, right? Even like for little workouts, because none of us have a home gym. Mm-hmm. We all have bands, and going from powerlifting, dude, I had the worst beginning of this quarantine. I broke both of the bands that I bought. So, I mean, but I had to make do of it. But to stay motivated, man, Diane and I just started picking together recipes and trying to dissect them, man. How do we make those healthy, right? One thing, man, is I never wanted to really resort back to keto treats, because even though they're keto treats, I treat them like a cake, because those spiral me back, right? So that's one thing is, we just wanted to examine our diets a little bit more. I mean, we had transformations, but how can we get it a little bit more better and enjoy more stuff that we like as well, right? Yeah. I know we did a egg fast, man, and dude, who knew eating eggs was going to be so delicious, dude?
I know. That was my first one too, and I was like, holy shit.
All the different things you can do, yeah.
And just whoever listens to this, if you're doing an egg fast, tag me in it. I'll be in. So I'm ready to do those recipes again. But yeah, just like little stuff like that, man, just keep us on track. I never wanted to go back. I just wanted to, now that I have a partner living with me that's had a major transformation, how can I pick her brain to where we put ours together and just keep destroying these meals, man? I mean, my meals have never tasted better, and they're all healthy. Yeah. They're better. Yeah. They're like, she just recreated for me one of my favorite burgers when I was fat, man, is the Western double bacon burger, man.
I saw that.
She nailed it. Like, it made me feel fat all over again, but I loved it.
Yeah, that thing was huge.
Oh, it's massive.
Yeah, it was delicious.
It's awesome that Diane's doing it with you. I mean, that's the only reason I started keto was because my wife brought it up and suggested it for us to do it together. And having someone in your corner like that to do it with you, I mean, it's awesome.
Dude, that's it. You said it, man. Having someone in your corner, because when you do something like that alone, everybody's like, "Are you really eating that tonight?" Well, yeah, of course I'm eating that. You know what I mean? And well, why do you eat this every day? And then you kind of have to explain to them, like, okay, this is what's working for me. You know what I mean?
It's funny how our relationship with food has changed. Because like I'll send a picture of the steaks in the sink thawing, and then I'll get the googly eyes or the heart eyes in the text message. So we're getting a little close to time now, but remind everyone where they can find you.
I only have Instagram, and my handle is _carnivore_chef. But to be honest, I'm no chef. I work in a warehouse. I just love to cook. That's it.
So your food makes you look like a chef.
Oh, thank you.
You can totally pull that off.
Absolutely. Your food looks really good.
Thank you.
Is Diane there?
No, she's out with the kids right now.
Okay, all right. You had
but
to be a
every
little.
cabinet's closed right now, so I know she's not home.
Yeah,
so.
as soon as she gets home, they'll be open. Don't worry.
Oh yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, we this was awesome. I'm super stoked that we got to talk to you finally.
Yeah.
And such great conversation.
Hell yeah, dude. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for thinking of me.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Just hearing about your transformation, besides just reading about it, is super awesome. Just being able to talk to people, it's like you kept talking about this community and how it brings so many people together. Like, you're in Sacramento, he's in Virginia, I'm in Minnesota.
Yeah.
We're West Coast, we're Central and East Coast. And it's just cool that we can all talk, and it's awesome. I absolutely love this.
Hey, let's do one more final thought. And Hadi, I'm gonna put you on the spot, man. So you had your coming to Jesus moment, right? With the doctor. What would you tell the person that's waiting for their come to Jesus moment? That was in your shoes, a year ago.
Dude, I tell everybody this, man, that asks me how to start. I just tell them, buy a pound of ground beef and a few eggs, and dude, start that in the morning. You know what I mean? If not all your meals throughout the day is healthy, start with that. And I guarantee you by the end of the week, you're going to be eating mostly just ground beef and eggs. That's the easiest way to start on something like that, man. Nothing has to be perfect in the diet. Just start.
That's right.
And you're going to feel good.
Absolutely.
And we talked about this a couple weeks ago because I was asking you about your calories. You're still not weighing food, right? Or counting calories?
Nope.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's because I'm so OCD. If I go back to that, like everything has to be to the T. This way, I'm not touching any of it. I just know where my portions are at, and I just kind of
that way would be more like a job. You're living right now. You have a life, and that's way better for you.
Exactly.
I feel you on that, man. I stopped tracking a while ago. It's too much.
I know, dude. Then it feels like it's not. It's not a lifestyle anymore.
Feels like work.
It just feels. Yeah. I don't need that.
All right, Kieran, my friend, where can we find you on Insta and everything?
Mostly on Instagram, the Keto Firefighter. I do have a Twitter, but I just had to reboot my phone to factory settings because it went hibernating on me, and I don't remember my password, so I haven't been on Twitter all week. But I do have a Twitter. I do have a Facebook page, but I do most of my stuff on Instagram, so you can find me there. What about you, John?
Instagram at The Keto Colombian. You guys check out our podcast, Forged from Fat, on Instagram. We have Twitter, which I don't really think has been used too much. And mine all kind of just populates all over the place. So
yeah, and remember, if you guys have been following John and I lately, we have just started the Green Collective. And Hadi, I don't know if you're aware of this yet, but we are running an ultra marathon to raise awareness for mental health of first responders.
Yeah.
So we have an Instagram page for that, the Green Collective. If you want to follow that, that'd be awesome. Follow our journey to 50 miles. So that'll be next year in March. So long time.
Nice.
Yes. Again, Hadi, so awesome having you on, man. So great finally meeting you face to face.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. John, your cat looks bored over there. That's watching on YouTube.
That's my three-legged cat. That's baby.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, Hadi, man, thanks again, brother.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Take care.
Talk soon.
See you guys.